that.
Joining us now from Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach is White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus. Reince, I want to start with President Trump's tweet on Friday afternoon. This is what he wrote. The fake news media, failing New York Times, NBC News, ABC, CBS, CNN, is not my enemy. It is the enemy of the American people. Reince, the president believes that a free and independent press is a threat to the country?
No, I think for the most part, and I understand where he's coming from, is that there are certain things that are happening in the news that just aren't honest. And we're not talking about everyone, Chris. We're not talking about all news. But we're talking about something that I guess he's termed as fake news. Let me give you an example. First of all, the New York Times last week put out an article with no direct sources that said that the Trump campaign had constant contacts with Russian spies. Basically, some treasonous type accusations. We have now all kinds of people looking into this. I can assure you, and I've been approved to say this, that the top levels of the intelligence community have assured me that the story is not only inaccurate, but it's grossly overstated, and it was wrong, and there's nothing to it. And so if I can say that to the American people, then what does it say about the story? The next day, Chris, the Wall Street Journal puts out a story that says that they have anonymous sources that say that the intelligence community is purposely cutting out material from President Trump's briefing materials that he gets every day. That then proved to be untrue. All the agencies put out a statement saying it was totally inaccurate. Then we get thrown off the rails for 3 days responding to this stuff.
I get the fact that you don't like, Chris? I get the fact that you don't like some stories. First of all, you made some news there at the top, and I want to follow up on that. You say, because you've said before you weren't part of the campaign, so you couldn't speak to that. You say that the intelligence community says that there were no contacts between anyone in the Trump campaign, any associate of Mr. Trump, and anybody involved as a Russian agent as to the campaign and collusion in the campaign with Russia. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they told me, absolutely. They have made it very clear that that story in the New York Times is complete garbage. And quite frankly, they used different words than that, okay?
Who was it that said that?
And when I read back,
who was it that said that to you?
I'm not going to tell you.
Wait a minute.
Tell you that.
Wait a minute, Reince. You're just complained about unnamed sources. You're using an unnamed source.
Well, because I didn't ask for approval to use their name, but I will tell you this. When I say top-level people, I mean top-level people, okay?
So no collusion whatsoever between anybody involved with Trump and anybody involved with Russia in the 2016 campaign?
No. And if you look at Devin Nunes's comments in the actual paper on the record,
Chairman of the House Intelligence Committee,
he was briefed by the FBI. He turned around and went on the record and said that this story is complete garbage.
Okay, but here's the problem.
Here we are.
Reince, wait a minute. Here's the problem. I don't have any problem with you complaining about an individual story. We sometimes get it wrong. You guys sometimes get it wrong. I don't have any problem with you complaining about bias, but you went a lot further than that, or the president went a lot further than that. He said that the fake media, not certain stories, the fake media are an enemy to the country. We don't have a state-run media in this country. That's what they have in dictatorships.
Okay, listen, Chris. It's not just two stories. Then it's followed up by 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of other cable stations, not necessarily Fox, that all day long on every chyron, every 7 minutes are talking about Russian spies, talking about the intelligence community, talking about how me and Steve Bannon don't like each other and what's Kellyanne doing. All this just total garbage, unsourced stuff. Listen, there's nothing wrong with background. Reporters need background information. We need to communicate with reporters and give reporters context. All I'm saying, though, is if you're going to come out with this, if you're going to come out with a story that says Russian spies are talking to your campaign, my God. I mean, I think you should, in some cases, or in most cases, actually have a named source. Look what we've done. We've repealed TPP. We have signed a coal bill to save the coal industry. We named Neil Gorsuch. We put an executive order in to deregulate the federal government.
All of that.
There's so many things I can talk about.
Wait a minute. We and all of the other cable channels had covered live the announcement of Neil Gorsuch and covered live a lot of these other events. Covered live for an hour and 15 minutes. The president's news conference. Here's the problem: when the president says that we're the American people, it makes it sound like if you're going against him, you're going against the country.
Here's the problem, Chris. The problem is that you're right. Some of these things were covered. But you get about 10% coverage on the fact you did a very successful meeting with Bibi Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of the UK, the Prime Minister of Canada.
We covered all of those news conferences live. Everybody did.
Right, sure. Yeah, right. But then as soon as it was over, the next 20 hours is all about Russian spies.
But you don't get to tell us what to do, right?
Nothing's happening.
You don't get to tell us what to do any more than Barack Obama did. Barack Obama whined about Fox News all the time, but I got to say, he never said that we were an enemy of the people.
Let me tell you something. He said a lot of things about Fox News, Chris. I think you ought to go check the tape. He blamed you for a lot of things, and I'm surprised as someone from Fox that you'd forget all the shots that he took.
No, he took
Fox
the shots,
News.
and we didn't like him. And frankly, we don't like this either, because but he never went as far as President Trump has, and that's what's concerning, because it seems like he crosses a line when he talks about that we're an enemy of the people. That is concerning.
I think you should be concerned. I think you should be concerned about mainstream news outlets that are acting like, Washington Daily gossip magazines instead of the way it used to be, where you'd get a few sources on the record. Yeah, you'll need some background, and maybe, yes, you'll need some anonymous sources, but to accuse an organization of being in constant contact with Russian spies is outrageous. And every day it's something different. It's some other source that is absolutely untrue. Instead of talking about the things that are going on.
All right, can I ask you about
we are doing every single day?
I need to ask you another question about Russia, which you'll be delighted to answer.